testifying. Republican Congressman from Illinois, Adam Kinzinger, is here. Congressman, good to have you on. I want to talk about what shouldn't happen and what should happen. How do you feel about the idea of starting a new probe into the old probe when the Inspector General is already looking at that? You got a Utah United States Attorney and a Connecticut United States Attorney looking at that.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of questions with that whole thing in terms of what happened. I don't want a whole new, independent counsel, but I do think there's questions that need answered on that. Now, if you notice, I just read the president's tweets, just learned about this. He said in accordance with the law, basically, so he's not going to declassify things that shouldn't be declassified. But I'll say this on that, just like I said at the beginning of the Mueller report, whatever the answer is, we all need to accept it and move on. If they say that there was no corruption in how this started, let's accept it and move on. If they say there were concerns in areas, we need to accept that. But we need to just go from here to here a little bit in our temperature, I think.
Temperature.
Right now,
I really think that
time.
Mueller is the answer. It was interesting. Kayleigh McEnany, spokesperson for the campaign, said, I don't think we need him. I don't know how we cannot need him. He has to give us clarity. Why did you leave it the way you... He's not compromised. I mean, she can say she's more conservative than he is, but I don't know what she's talking about. I mean, he is par excellence when it comes to partisan pedigree, as you well know, as a service member yourself and a veteran. What do you think about him testifying?
I'm fine with it. I mean, I have no problem with him testifying. I think what they have to have their expectations right, which is he's under a restriction with DOJ. Mm-hmm. He cannot say any bad information about the president or anybody that's not in the report. The government can't come out and say we didn't indict somebody, but here's all the things we were concerned about. That's not how that works. So I think people's expectations may not be what it is. I have no problem if he comes in personally. It's a good answer. But I thought when you said I think Mueller's the answer, I don't necessarily agree. I hope you're right. I thought the Mueller report was going to be the answer, and it's actually just inflamed everything more. So maybe if he testifies and it helps, fine. But the long and the short of it is, you'd mentioned something about institutions and faith in government in a prior segment. Over the last number of decades, we in Congress and everywhere, media, talking heads, have undermined the institutions of government because it may help us get reelected or it may make for good. You get retweeted 1,000 times if you say something crazy. That kind of stuff needs to stop, because when people undermine the institutions, everybody's to blame with this, by the way. When you do that, when it's all said and done, if you don't have faith in the institutions, massive breakdowns occur, and you see it all over the world.
Amen. And I'm worried about that, too. We try to police it. We try to be good about it. Everybody's got to do their part. In that vein of thought, let's skip over Congress, because we got to see what's going to happen. Until the people at the top stop wanting to be in a spitball contest, nothing's going to get done. We all know that. Iran.
Right.
I want your head on this, Congressman, because what's your read about the nature of what they're doing and what it means in terms of proper United States response?
So I think we're doing the right thing, because information we've gotten, and I obviously can't go into a lot of details, but is Iran was stepping up their attacks, stepping up their posture, and there was legitimate concern that there was going to be an escalation. We had concern in this right when we started the fight against ISIS, frankly, under President Obama. We thought about the re-energized Shia militias that were being re-energized in this ISIS fight by Iran, and we said when ISIS is defeated, they're going to have all these guns and energy, and where do they turn? Well, they're going to start the old fight against the United States. And we were seeing escalation of that. I think it would be presidential malpractice had we not increased our posture there. You have two options. You either surrender and just leave, or you say, we will defend American troops and our interests. I think the president was right in doing that. Some of the things, that may have been said, fine, it may not be perfect, of course, but moving the carrier, and frankly, the results we've seen, I think, have been promising. We're not going to go to war, and I think, frankly, when you have a strong posture, it makes
everybody should know. They should Google you, but you are a warrior, and you have given you put your life on the line for this country, and you know how I respect you for doing that. But when you say we will not go to war, how do you know when, as you know, often it's situational, right? You're there, they take a shot at you. Maybe they didn't mean it the way it happens, but they wind up taking out some of our people. Now you have to make a new stand. Are you concerned?
Yeah, so I guess when I say we won't go to war, it's, our intention is not to go provoke a conflict. And anybody that says they want to, look, I wasn't a huge fan of President Obama. I liked him personally. I didn't like his policies. But I had no doubt that President Obama never wanted to provoke a conflict. That presidents don't do that. But obviously, if Iran attacks us, if they move in a position that threatens navigation through the Straits of Hormuz or something, that easily could start a conflict. Not necessarily a full war, but it could start a military response to escalate to where that ends. So it's all, I mean, look, Iran has been attacking U.S. and its interests for decades. A quarter of American troops in Iraq were killed indirectly or directly by Iran, and you look at all the history of it, so it's nothing new to think that they provoke us, but they can't cross that red line, and so we have to move that red line and be very definite with it.
You think we're going to have more boots on the ground in different places in the Middle East by this time next year?
I don't think so. At least nothing appreciable. Not 20,000 additional or 30,000 additional, obviously situationally depending. But I think we need to put a force structure in place to protect our men and women, of course, which everybody would agree with. We do have outposts, we do have bases, and they need to be as safe as they can actually be. And I think we can all agree on that. And as we get in these heated debates, I think it's important for us to sometimes take a step back and realize we are Americans, we do disagree on things. But like you and I, Chris, I consider you a friend. I think you'd consider the same. We don't necessarily agree on everything, but we know how to take our political opinions and make that kind of business something we're passionate about, but still like each other on the other side of that.
Well, look, you got a couple of things going for you. I consider you a hero who protects me and my kids and my wife and my family's life. And you're a member of Congress, which means you've once again taken a pledge with your life to serve others. And I appreciate that. I think maybe what you're doing now is more dangerous than even when you were over there. And sometimes I worry for you. But I know you're a person of integrity. I know you're leading with your head and your heart together, and we need that. Doesn't matter what your ideas are. That we can fight about. I do hope, though, if we fight about who to put where militarily, they come to you guys because it's your job, not the president's, to declare war, and I hope you take that power back. Adam Kinzinger, God bless. Memorial Day weekend. If anybody in your family was lost in service, thank you to the whole family, and thank you as well. We'll have you back soon.
God bless you. Take care.
All right, be well.